Welcome, Mr. Island Chess to the online tutorials, FIDE rated, rapid, and blitz. How's everybody doing? Okay, and we have another game here. This was very short, only about 7 moves. Let's get into this Polish opening. So far in the series, everyone we've seen d4, c4, e4, king spawn, queen spawn opening, English opening. We've also seen f4 played, king's gambit allowed, king's gambit. We've seen all these things, but this is the first time, and now in the FIDE Online Arena, my opponent here from Italy, I believe, b4. So it's called the Polish opening. Okay. So my response to this was knight f6. In some cases, maybe like in English, guys, maybe just going for e5 here. Instead, we just see knight f6 in the game. d2, d4 played by my opponent. b6, knight f3, and bishop e7. Okay. So already black has a fianchetto light squared bishop, which is good. e3 maybe was a little slow, or not, because now d5 is coming and black can fairly fight for the center now with these undeveloped pieces, both on the minor pieces, both on the king and the queen side. So here's c4, guys, and after c4, don't worry about taking here, because then remember the bishop is just going to capture on c4. So instead of that, after e6, my opponent played the proper move in this position, and that move is just a3. Now just giving more coverage to the d4 pawn that was played first move in the opening. Right, if something like knight a3 and then something like this, well then the b4 pawn falls, and I think white can just kind of resign already. So that's why the Polish opening is kind of a sketchy opening for white, if white doesn't really just be careful and know what he or she is doing. Anyway, so we saw c4, guys. Okay, e6. e6 is perfect now because now it opens the dark squared lane from a3 to f8. So a3, as we mentioned, giving more leverage, just supporting the b4 pawn, the Polish pawn. So now knight b to d7, and knight b to d2, and knight b to d2 was the last move played in the game, and my opponent resigned in this position. Okay, guys, why did my opponent resign in this position? Well, we should try to find first the best move for black in the position. And it turns out the best move in the position for black, yeah, it's just c5. Okay, so c5, c5 is great. C5 is the best move. Also, bishop e7 is good, and black is really getting involved here. But if you go for c5, which is kind of like a silent tactic here, and white's not going to want to give up the center here, guys, with something like d takes on c5, because after that, just b takes, and this is actually going to hurt white a lot more if white does not recapture, even though white is kind of forced to recapture. Something like, yeah, maybe like queen to a4, which is a decent move. Yeah, you could go for something like rook to c8 now, and if it captures and bishop captures. And I think black is a lot better here, personally. So let's go back to where my opponent resigned here, right? Knight b to d2, wow, so there was no more game to be played. The match was terminated after this, guys, as my opponent resigned. Rated about 1200 here. And I thought to myself, let me show this game on the FIDE Online playlist here on our Virgin Islands web channel. And let's just go over maybe a continuation here, because we don't see too many Polish openings as it does. So I thought about maybe instead of even to c5, guys, what about, yeah, just bishop to... what about bishop to d6 or bishop to e7? Well, then if that happens, then I think maybe white could capture here. And after bishop captures, yeah, again, I guess I'm not just believing in this position for white. White doesn't really have good coordination here with these knight guys. These two knights. I mean, bishop b2 is obviously best now, going for this really late Larsen with b2 on that attack, bishop b2. But yeah, swinging the rook over to c8 is great, and I think black has everything under control here. You got the queen side covered, king side looks good, bishop d7, now if h3, you can still play knight d5, and yeah, I really don't know what white has outside of all this. Yeah, maybe instead of knight fe5, maybe just short castles now, and I think maybe it's a game. But I think this queenside majority, and you know, with the advent of maybe bishop h4, and you know, after we see all this, and yeah, I think black's still going to hold on a lot better here. Now you can push c5, and after captures, you know, you could capture with the rook now, and now the knight is pinned. So it's almost like whatever you do in this position, it looks like the queen side is really sort of gauged towards black's, favoring black's queenside initiative, guys, if you will. So knight b to d2 was the last move played in this game. Let's just go over it one more time. So we saw b4, knight f6, d4, d2, d4, b6, knight f3, bishop e7, e3, and bollocks, guys. Okay, d5. d5 now just claiming the center now, as white did not play the best semi-pawn move. Played bishop to b4. The Polish opening is a little shaky if you don't have it perfected. Right, it can kind of get you in a little bit of trouble. So we saw e6, guys. Remember a3, and a3 has to be played, or else on the next move, bishop is just capturing that b4 pawn, and that that's coming with a check too to the white king. Okay, so a3 was correct, and knight b to d7 and knight b to d2. And my opponent saw that, I guess, you know, no matter what happened in this position, black is always just gaining the initiative. It could be, you know, best bishop e7, of course. And then after this, now you can play c5. You don't even have to castle. If you're playing with Team Black here, you don't even have to castle immediately, even though castles is very much looked upon with favor by the engine. You can also just go for a more dubious c5. So a little unorthodox, right, guys, in terms of that. And then after this, you sort of have to recapture, and then the knight is coming in, and this bishop that got developed to d3 is in a little bit of trouble. You know, recommended to go to somewhere like e2 here, for example. And I think, yeah, as we mentioned, guys, you know, castles, rook c8. I would definitely prefer to play with black here. All these pieces are better coordinated. We got a knight in front of a c1 bishop for the short game, the short Polish opening. We got a knight here on f3. This bishop is on e2. These bishops really don't look too good. The queen side looks really poor for Team White, and black's got those pieces there, the rook, the knight, and the bishop all together. The knight's protected also by the bishop on e7 for Team Black, and black also has a knight on f6. So yeah, and also the d5 pawn as well as e6 hold a strong center, right? So if white continues, guys, with something like this, actually queen captures, right? Queen captures is nice. Now attacking the queen. Well, then you could just go to somewhere like maybe h5, right? And I think black is doing okay. All right. So that was why my opponent resigned on move 7. I don't think he saw really anything favorable for white here. This just doesn't look good. The whole queen side is undeveloped. Black's queen side is developed and ready to gain some initiative there on the queen side. Thank you guys, everyone, for participating and watching. This was the Polish opening, brought to you guys by Colin, Heim with U.S. Virgin Islands Chess at Home and Abroad. Should have enjoyed it and got something out of it today as usual, everyone. Take care, and much more material to come in the future. See everyone on the other side. Bye, guys.